What's up everybody, it's Joe with J Blake Photo. This video is going to look just a little bit different because today I'm shooting it on an EOS R. No, I'm not shooting it in 4K, I am shooting in 1080p, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a later video. But today what I want to talk about is that DJI just released and announced all the information about the Mavic Mini. I had done a video earlier in the week or last week about the Mavic Mini, what we expected, kind of what the leaks had said, and I got a lot of comments. I got a lot of some positive, some negative, some really constructive, some not so constructive. So in this video, I want to just quickly go through the stuff I got wrong, the stuff I got right, my thoughts on the drone, and some of the funniest comments that I saw in that last video. All right, so let's hop into it. This might look absolutely terrible. I apologize in advance. I don't have an ND filter with me, so I'm having to stop this lens down, and I gotta jack up the shutter speed, and it's not what I normally like to shoot. So I just didn't bring a whole lot with me today. So with all the news about the Mavic, I just kind of wanted to fly mine and just have an enjoyable morning. There's a lot of construction in my neighborhood, especially up in some of the areas where I do a lot of mountain biking, and I kind of want to see what they're doing without having to ride my bike up there. And that's kind of the other thing I wanted to talk about in this video, which is there's a lot of different reasons why people like to use drones. In some cases, it's to look at things that maybe they wouldn't be able to see. It's to pick up another perspective that isn't common for them. Sometimes it's to record something that they're doing, you know, with actor track and all that sort of stuff. And sometimes, you know, it's photography and, you know, it's enjoying nature. You know, that's one of the main reasons I really like flying drones, is because I get to go kind of see things from a different perspective of nature. When I went to Maui, being able to fly around some of the waterfalls and all that sort of stuff, that was a ton of fun. And I really enjoyed the video and the photos that I got afterwards. And so I think when we talk about specs and we talk about gear when it comes to drones and cameras, you know, for that matter, and cell phones with cameras, that sometimes we have to think about, okay, who is this for and what do we want to use it for, instead of just kind of getting caught up in the specs. For example, today I did not even bring ND filters for the drone because I'm not going to be flying for cinematography or anything like that. It's the middle of the morning, the light's going to be terrible. I just kind of want to see what's going on. It's super cold out here, so I think I'm going to get back in the car. It is too cold out there. Okay, so it was just a little too chilly out there. I'll talk to you here. Okay, so in my previous video I talked about specs. I talked about my previous experience with the Spark, and I mentioned that I didn't have a good one, and I referenced a previous video. And what that did was two things. One, it got a lot of people to notice that I've lost a lot of weight since that video, which was almost 2 years ago. Yes, I've lost 60 pounds, most of it in the last 6 months or so. If you're curious about that, I can make a video about my kind of health situation. But even though I didn't have a good experience with the Spark, that wasn't the point of the video. I was just referencing a previous video that I had done, and I got a lot of comments about how my opinion on that video was wrong, and how if I didn't like the Spark, then there was something wrong with me or something. For the record, I didn't like the Spark because of some specific situations that I had, and for me, it was the wrong product. The Mavic has been a phenomenal drone for me, and I've had no problems flying it. So I don't think it was user error or my inability to use the product. It was that I just didn't like it. It didn't do what I wanted it to do. And the other thing that really kind of came out was I got a lot of really weird comments about the Mini. And so just briefly, I want to show you some of the fun comments that I got. So, wear Mini. Speak too much talk. didn't see DJI Mini, you're faced with lots of talking. If you fly the Spark in 20-mile-an-hour wind, you will not have a good experience. This info is already old, right? A lot of misinformation in this video is incorrect and incomplete. Great video, music sucks. That person posted that comment twice. I also made a comment in my video about, I think 3.1 miles versus 5 kilometers, and I kind of sarcastically said, for those of you crazy people on the metric system, that was a joke. I am well aware that the United States is one of only a handful of nations in the entire world that doesn't use the metric system. I don't understand why. I just think it's funny. I got a lot of people that took that to heart and thought that I was being serious, and got real nasty about the metric system. A lot of love for the Skydio drone. Where is the effing drone? Who does a review without the drone? You did this stupid video just for the views. He's gonna love this video. Senseless video. Clickbait. This is actually a really good one. If it doesn't sound like a raging nest of hornets, then maybe. That's funny. Your video is total SHIT, nothing with DJI Mini. You are not God. Defeat. I assume he means you're not good. I am also not God. You are an idiot. Where have you been? Anyway, there were a lot of really good comments in the video too. A lot of comments on the drone, a lot of conversations about regulations and the weight of the drone, as well as some of the specs. So I did get some of the specs wrong, and that's because some of the leaked information was conflicting. There were some reports that the drone would have 4K footage or 4K video output. Some said 2.7K. Some said 30-minute flight time. Some said 18-minute flight time. I looked at those specs and I figured, honestly, considering the previous drones that DJI had come out with, that we'd be looking at 18 minutes with 4K, not 30 minutes with 2.7. I thought 2.7 was a weird number for them to release it at. I still think that. And I thought 30 minutes for a drone this small was a little lofty in terms of battery size, especially considering the weight. I was wrong, and that's okay. This is a really kind of interesting product. The thing that I was correct about, that the leaks were correct about, was the 245 to 249 grams, which is actually the big part of this release. That's the big part of the news of this particular drone. And no, I don't have it because it's not available yet, and DJI didn't send me one because I'm not a big time YouTuber. I'm the small guy. I'm like you. I just like drones. And I like talking about drones, and I like discussing new specs and releases and all that sort of stuff, which is why I make videos. If you don't like that, that's okay. I totally understand if it's not your cup of tea. So this drone is definitely an interesting release. At 249 grams, it does come under the FAA requirement and some of the requirements in other nations to register your drone and to abide by certain regulations and laws as it pertains to the flight of this drone. However, that doesn't mean that they can't say, okay, now it's 240 grams, and then tomorrow you're going to have to register this drone. So just be careful. Realize that those regulations can change. That was something that a lot of people had commented on in the previous video, and I agree. You know, if the purpose is to get right under the wire when they can just move the wire, number one. And number two, people who purchase drones specifically for the reasons to get under the law or the regulation, they might do things that might make it harder for the rest of us who are flying drones for other reasons to, you know, have a hard time or to make the regulations harder on us because, you know, sometimes people do stupid stuff. So whenever you're flying a drone, follow the laws, follow the regs, do what you're supposed to do. And even if you are flying this drone, you know, and it's under the weight limit and you're not required to either take the test or register your drone, you still need to be aware of the laws and regulations in your area. Check and update your flight maps constantly and make sure that you're not in a dangerous area. Especially right now, you know, if you're watching the news, there's wildfires just raging in California. The whole state's on fire. Please don't fly your drones around responders to these incidents, around paramedics, or around firefighters or any of the brave folks who are kind of putting their lives on the line to protect homes and lives in California or anywhere that you are. And last but not least, I just want to reiterate that we all fly drones for different reasons. Some of us need that 4K footage because we're using it for commercial purposes and we need that super high quality video. For some, it's about the weight, not to get under the regulations, but because, you know, maybe they're backpacking or bike packing or camping and they really want to keep their weight super low, because it might be the difference between the drone and extra food. Or don't make that choice, bring the food, or something else that you might want to bring, some other necessity. For some people, it's the thrill of flying, and being able to see where you're going and be able to get up in the air and do something that you can't normally do. And for some, like me, it's exploration. I love taking my drone out and exploring areas that I can't get to normally, or that I can't see from that perspective. So I got some stuff wrong. It happens. I appreciate everybody watching my videos, subscribing to my channel. But I admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong on this one. I looked at the specs and thought, okay, it's got to be this and this, right? And it wasn't. And that's okay. I'm excited for what they came out with. I'm not going to get one because it doesn't meet my needs. I'm going to be sticking with the Mavic 2 Pro and enjoying what it does for me, but it's not for everybody. So tell me down in the comments, is this a drone that you're interested in getting, and why? What are you going to do with it? What specifically, either about the size or the weight or the specs, or maybe the price at $399 with the controller, really just makes it the right drone for you? Let me know down in the comments. Go ahead and hit like, hit subscribe, throw me all the comments you want, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.